My name is Mercado. I am 53 years old. Tonight I'm going to go out on the route, as I figuratively put it. We're going to pick a town that has their garbage collection on the following morning. And we're going to see what we can find out there in mostly metals and recyclable products that I can use for me to cash in. So I'm going to take a look at what's been put out for the curb for the morning garbage collection. See what I can use, and then when we're done in this town, we'll move on to the surrounding towns and keep on going as long as the gas in my van lasts. I'm spending my time right now because it's early. By my standards, it's early. It's 9 o'clock at night. People are awake, and I'm driving around looking at the garbage that they put out. I could stop and look quickly, take what I need, and move along. Once the people have gone to bed, and it's later, that's when I can do a lot more of what I call stealthy work. It's work where I go quietly, and I can look underneath a garbage bag. You know, I can look really into what they put out to see if there's anything of value. I can open a garbage bag if I'm careful. You're not supposed to really go digging into people's stuff because they have identification in there, and there are things in there that are sensitive to them. So you have to respect their privacy. You have to be conscientious about what you do. At least I do. There are a lot of guys out there that don't, and they make it very difficult for guys like me. They go out there and tear it up, make a mess, tear the bags open. People come out in the morning and they see all their stuff ransacked. They get pissed off. And then some poor guy like me drives down the block. I'm just looking to take what I need and leave, and they get upset. You know, they see me out there and they think I'm going to do to them what some other guy did. So I prefer that they don't know I've been there. That's my goal. Always leave your work area clean. Well, you'll see that I find quite a bit of things that the average guy doesn't, because it's not just metal that I'm looking for.
I don't think it's working.
Fuck! Ain't working, huh?
I was about to say, go check, Dad.
That shit was pretty loud, man.
That's cool. You gotta find more of those.
I know. I'm looking for items that I can sell. And there's a lot of things out there that I'll probably find some tonight, more than likely. I've sold everything you can imagine, from electronical products to gas-powered engines, generators, leather goods, collectible items, porcelain goods, sports. I found letters to the President of the United States in the garbage, signed by him, and sold it. Somebody passed away, they threw it out. They didn't want it. I found it. There it was, from President Bush. I came across it and I sold it to somebody. I got $20 for it. I found a collection of Matchbox cars from the 1960s. I sold that collection for over $800. I didn't do anything with it. All I did was take it, pick up the pieces, put them in a box, drive them to the next guy, and sell them to him. That was what's called a score. That was a very rare occurrence, nonetheless, a really great find. So every now and then, the graces will shine upon me, and I'll find something that's really valuable. People throw away stuff that they don't need. Doesn't necessarily mean it's broken. This is an antique. It's really old. That means anything and everything that they have. From the clothes on their back, jewelry, sometimes money. People pass away. They don't want to deal with their belongings, so they put them out at the curb. Computers, electronic goods, motorized things, all kinds of stuff like that. They just don't need it anymore. And I, if I get lucky, will pull up and find that and I can capitalize on the fact that they're throwing it out because it has value, quite a bit of value. It's how I'm making my living.
My name is Mercado. I am a nurse at a private psychiatric hospital. I am 52. It's a lot here, just trying to be, I don't want to call myself the rock, but I have to be here in case somebody needs me. With my husband, I don't feel I can rely on him for anything. I just have to do what I have to do. And it stinks not having him around here at night. I'm sure you'll see him at one point snoring up a storm on the couch. Thank God he fell asleep on the couch and not in bed with me, so at least I can get some sleep. But you know what? This is not a life. This is not a healthy life. And, you know, it takes a toll on the family, him being out all hours of the night, wondering if he's, like, fell asleep at the wheel and all that. I mean, I have to tell you, I just go to sleep and try not to think about it. I can't, because then I would be losing sleep. And then who the heck can function at work every day as a nurse? I have to be on my toes. I have to be ready to perform at work. So I just have to like distance myself from a lot of things here. I might sound really cold, but you know what? I got to keep the household going, and it's a lot on my plate. From what I gather, my husband really is not very forthcoming in how much he has maxed out the credit cards that are in his name. 1 or 2 are in my name, and the house equity loan, which the bank turned around and took back 50 grand. We were able to max out $150,000, but I guess the sign of the times, they were taking back money from everybody else. We maxed it out at 100 grand right now. Not to mention his credit cards, which could max out to almost, I see, between 80 to 90,000 more.
You have no income and you're using only the income from your cards when you'll be borrowing money at the rate of $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Doesn't take long. When the time came where I had no more income, I just used the money that was at my disposal as best as I could to survive. I did what I had to do to survive, and now I have to pay the piper. And if I can't pay it, I have to file for bankruptcy protection so that I can at least continue to have a life, you know. That's what is involved. And that's another chapter in the book. It's put a lot of stress on Lorraine, my wife. She's put her under a lot of pressure. She does well with it.
I could tell you just from having so much financial stress in this house, there is yelling. We do fight over definitely finances. We never fought over too much anything before, my husband and I. I mean, yeah, okay, let the kid go here, let the kid go there. That's just the basic stuff. But we always fought over finances.
It's not something that anyone likes to do. It's pretty much just taking care of what you have to do. You know, it's a household with 2 kids, 2 children, two young. Well, they're not young anymore, but 2 young adults in college. My wife is in college, and all those things have to be paid for.
And it takes a toll on the kids. They always thought, oh, they just rather run out of here. My son moved out. He couldn't stand the fighting. You know, I mean, it hurt. And then I realized it. I probably wouldn't want to stay either, you know. But it makes us very distant here. And it's very hard on everybody, you know. It would be nice to have a little extra dollar here and there just to go for Chinese food or something. But, you know, it's cheaper to actually buy the food and cook it and try to make things stretch. I mean, I don't buy the best cut of meat. I try to buy a roast so I can make 2 meals out of it. A lot of pasta in this house. You know, we don't do fast food. I won't waste the money on that. So, you know, you pick and choose what you can make 2 ends meet with.
And believe it or not, I actually furnished probably 2/3 of my house with furniture that I found on the street. Even the damn garbage pail in my kitchen comes from the street.
A lot of our finances with his operations, most of them are not covered. So we do have some extremely high bills, a lot of x-rays. So, you know, we're trying to pay a little bit every month so that's not sent to collections like everything else is. You could see if you looked around my house, it's not like we have the best china, the best furniture. This furniture was a second hand. I could tell you my TV is at least 10 years old. You know, we just try to make it a livable as happy home. Our clothes are decent. They're not name brand, I could tell you that, but they're decent. They're clean. We just try to keep as best as possible here.
How often do I stop at 7-Eleven? Oh, probably half a dozen times a day, most days. I go there and I pick up all my snack coffee and stuff that I have to have. Because I'm out on the road so much, I have to have something with me all the time, because, especially because I'm a diabetic. So I'm always picking up coffee and snacks on a regular basis. So I'm there frequently, a lot. The barter that I have with 7-Eleven, the guys there, not 7-Eleven in particular, but the guys there, is some of the employees, you know, they need furniture or items that I find out on the road. So I'll take care of getting what they need, and in turn, they give me food for free. Because what's going to happen to the food at the end of the night is it's going to get thrown away. They actually throw away all the food that's dated for the fresh sale date being expired. There's nothing wrong with the food though. It's just a sale date. So rather than have them throw it out, I tell them, give it to me, and I bring it home. And you get to enjoy all that food, which is nothing wrong with it at all. Alright, I'm heading home.
I got some sleep.
Huh?
We'll get some sleep.
Yeah, I got it. Yep, thanks.
Okay.
See you later.
Okay.
I sleep when I'm exhausted. And that's what I do. I wait till I'm exhausted. And I get exhausted. There are a lot of things I have to do to take care of myself. Remember, there's other issues medically I haven't discussed. I have high blood pressure. I take medication for it. I take pain medication to deal with the pain that I have. I take medication for my diabetes, which I have type 2. So all that stuff, plus the panic and all that, all those things mentally, you know, they make you tired. And at the end of the night, I'll finally get really tired. Just driving around doing this is tiring, but when I finally get exhausted, that's when I go home and sleep. Because I sleep very well when I'm that tired. That's what it takes for me to get to bed.
To get into my husband's other ailments, he does suffer from mental illness. He has anxiety to the point that it cripples him.
I suffer from a panic disorder. And what it does is it triggers it every morning. Not every morning is it bad, but there are many mornings I wake up in a cold sweat. I wake up in a panic. And I realize it's just a mental thing, but it's created by stress. And so there are many mornings I just don't get. It takes me almost 2 hours to get out of the house. By the time I get up, shake off the feeling of impending doom that I feel like when I wake up, get dressed and stagger out of the house like I do in the morning, it becomes it gets difficult. It makes it's depressing. It depresses me, so I have to keep moving. I have to constantly be doing something to keep my mind off of it, and that's one of the things, one of the benefits of being out here doing this. It's very time consuming. It keeps me focused.
He does refuse to take medication for that, which I congratulate anybody, you know, not to resort to any kind of medication or alcohol or anything just to numb it. You know, any self-medicating. He's very good with not doing that due to, you know, being part of a 12-step program. But the ADD, we could be talking about something and then he's 5 subjects ahead of that. And I'm like, okay, when did we switch? He comes from a family who does suffer from a lot of mental illness. There's schizophrenia. His mother is extremely paranoid. She does have a lot of medical issues, kidneys, heart, diabetes. My side of the family does have some alcoholism, yes, diabetes, heart condition too. And my mother had passed from breast cancer. So, you know, both sides does have some medical issues. So this is something that we have to deal with to know what the future brings. You know, keeping good health, keeping yourself healthy, eating right and everything, because you don't want to fall into the trap of diabetes. My husband is a borderline diabetic right now. He is on medication, which is pill form. But if he loses the weight, he can control it. So he's up and down lots with his weight, due to his eating habits, poor sleeping habits. On the road, not home, drinking coffee nonstop. I mean, you could tell that it's not really good eating habits.
Sustenance. Life on the road.
A lot of this does attribute to our financial stress here. Constant doctors, thank God I do have insurance, but some of it's not covered. That's reality. The medications are extremely high. You try to get the tier ones, which are, you know, your copay is $7, but all of his are $50 and above. That's just the way it is. He is partially disabled due to a few other injuries that he had. And the toll took on his body. As you get older, things take a toll on your body.
I injured my back when I was 17 years old on the job. Now there's arthritis and deteriorated discs in those areas, and results in a lot of problems.
Climbing trees is not like the most healthiest position you can have in this world, and it's not the most profitable. You do fall out of trees, you do get injured, and insurance really doesn't want to pick up the tab.
4 operations on my right knee. To date, I'm a candidate for a knee replacement. Right knee replacement. But I'm too young, so they're waiting.
Walking, I mean, he barely gets up to walk without falling on his face due to numerous injuries to the ankle. I mean, he had those long screws in his ankle taken out. Now he's going to go back in. It's approximately 5 operations on his right ankle.
My right ankle was injured on the job in 1992, resulting in a severe ankle sprain, resulting in torn cartilage, and they had to do 4 operations over the period of 10 years to try and take care of the arthritis that was growing in the damaged joint. The most recent of the surgeries, the last 2 of them involved fusing my right ankle, which has been done, and it's not complete. There's another operation needs to be done yet, and hopefully I'll be able to have a lot less pain.
If you ever saw from this filming how my husband walks, just walks. He could barely walk 2 feet without tripping, falling, losing his balance. His legs, his limbs cannot hold him up. They're very damaged. So, you know, in a sense, getting from one place to another, it's a challenge.
The arthritis in my joints is all throughout, with many areas that are affected. I have a lot of soft tissue problems related to what happens when you have arthritis, and the body compensates. So I don't stand for long periods, I don't sit for long periods. I don't run, I don't jump, I don't jog, I don't stair climb very well. I don't walk down inclines or steep inclines or declines. There's a lot of things I just don't do. If I do, I have to be very careful.
Just all of his handicaps, if you want to call it, is takes a toll on the whole household.
I have some difficulty loading my truck. I have to load with one arm. I have to throw wood with only one arm. The bicep tendon on my right arm is damaged. I can't do a lot of repetitive exercise with it. I can do some, but it's very difficult. It hurts too much to do too much. So, it's like I have to decide on how much pain I want to put myself through, and then just do it. Knowing that it's going to hurt, then go ahead and do it anyway. Otherwise, it won't get done.
Like I say, your body takes a toll. You know, bones can't heal, muscles can't heal. That's just the way it is. You're in chronic pain.
To add to all of the other things, I see 2, one right next to the other. It's distracting. but I've been seeing double since I'm young. I jumped out of my crib when I was about 2 years old, and I damaged the muscle in my right eye. So my right eye is like a wandering eye. It doesn't sit straight, causing me to have double vision. One eye is nearsighted and one eye is farsighted. So I wear glasses to help me with that. I don't see shades very well. Greens, browns, reds, grays, they all look the same. I mean, I see true colors. I can see a true blue, a true green, a true red, but even green is tough. So I have a very serious color deficiency that doesn't allow me to discern gray from green. I'll tell you that gray is blue, green, and that's what I think it is. But I can see yellow, I can see red, I see stoplights, fine. True colors I can see, black, white, all those things like that, amber. But anything that has any kind of shade, forget it. I can't even tell what I'm looking at. That's why I wear the same clothes over and over.
My husband also is in recovery, approximately 21 years of sobriety from crack cocaine and alcoholism. It's very hard. I know it's a lot of torture every day of his life to stay away and to stay sober, but you still carry that baggage with them day to day.
I think there's so many different jobs I've held over the years.
With all my husband's disabilities, we went looking in the want ads to say what else could he do to, let's be honest.
I was a telephone installer. New York Telephone.
A desk job, answering the phone, clerical. He did that in the past. He worked for an insurance company before my son was born. That was over 20 years ago. And he was pretty good at it. But, it's sitting long enough, getting up, doing any kind of clerical work. He really can't sit there and do it that long.
I was a telephone repairman at a factory.
I don't believe he can really focus that long on one job, anything that's very tedious. I think he has to do something that's more with his hands.
I was a tree climber for a number of years.
He does chop wood, and we do sell wood, to people who use it for heating their homes or whatever, but he can't do that very long.
I was a shop steward for a tree trimming crews on Long Island, the division of the tree trimming crews that take care of the utility lines for a time. That's where I got hurt.
And then when you look at him, when he comes to a job interview, if you see this guy can barely walk, would you want him? I mean, he's a walking workman's comp case.
Truck driver.
Yes, he can drive a truck, but he can't sit long enough.
I had a union job as a, believe it or not, in the milkman's industry for a number of years.
Jobs out there is very limited.
I was a supervisor of the mail division of a large office building for a time.
So he's not really marketable in the world.
And then following all those things, I became self-employed. Opened up my own tree service. And I tried my hand at becoming self-employed for about 6 to 8 years. Until my disabilities caught up with me and the doctor told me I had to stop doing it or I would end up probably being crippled.
He's a great musician. If he had stuck with it, he was very good at it. Played for a lot of bands. He's a tuba player, trombone. I know that was his love. Didn't make a lot of money, but he can listen to something and just play it.
The desire for me to sit and practice isn't there. But the desire for me to play never leaves. It actually haunts me. It's why I don't listen to a lot of music involving tubas and stuff. Why I don't go to concerts and stuff. Because when I sit in the audience, it'll just tear me to pieces. Because I know I'm the one supposed to be on the stage in the bow tie. The people who know me in my profession, I've always wondered where I've been. And when they see me, they never discuss much. Because they know what it's like when a person who plays doesn't play right now. It's almost like I'm wasting a talent, which adds to the depressive state that I feel from time to time. My career in music took me to many, many different towns all across, well, all up and down the eastern seaboard of the United States, from Maine down to the Virgin Islands during my military service as a musician. I played in, I don't even know, thousands of parades, countless concerts. I've done some solo performances and recording studio work, but that was during my college years mostly. I was the member of several different performing groups, from small Western trios to big bands and concert bands and orchestras. And so that is the life of the tubist. When you're playing the tuba, especially that particular instrument, it takes you everywhere if you want to do it. It's the only thing that I can do that gives me total freedom from all the pain, suffering, any of the things in my life that trouble me all melt away when I'm playing. It saved my life in certain respects, and it still has the ability to do so. I stopped playing 6 years ago marching bands because I couldn't walk, but I haven't played the tuba in any performing groups over the last 5 years because I'm depressed, and that's one of the things that affects my music, my state of mind. So the tuba sits. It sits in the corner of my dining room in a case, and it waits for me to pick it up. And if I should decide to pick the tuba up and play it, I usually don't put it down. Because just like before, and as it always will be when I play for me. I play for no one else. I've always played for me. Although other people will enjoy what I do, especially when I'm playing well, no one enjoys it more than me.
It was just wonderful, but it doesn't pay the bills. It's a real starving talent. My children did pick up that talent of music, and I'm glad at least that was one thing he was able to pass down to them. He does have a college degree in music. Where does that get you? I mean, yeah, it's an associate's degree. He was never really a good student in school, I could tell you from some of the stories he's told me. It's just something that he has to put himself to. So not being marketable, being self-employed, that was one way he was able to be his own boss, work, not work, how hard to work. But not putting into the system for the past 10 years means that you can't get any money back to help you, pay the bills.
Social Security disability regulations say that you have to have points accumulated from your working career to apply toward your disability application, your eligibility.
But if you check, working since the age of 16 on the books, he did have his 40 quarters in.
When they've looked into my case, I have the points accumulated, but the limitation that they have in Social Security states you have to accumulate half of their qualifying points within the last 5 years, that is, prior to the date you file. Well, I haven't worked in years, on the books at least, and I tried working my own business.
So he's not eligible for any Social Security disability, which to me kind of like stinks when you see all these other people out there just don't even deserve it. They don't even attempt to work. They just sit there with their checks and have a grand old time.
So basically I feel like, you know what, I should have filed for disability 20 years ago. I would have got it, and then I would already be classified. Instead, I chose to work with my injuries, and they're saying I screwed myself, and I don't understand how that doesn't make sense to me.
We really could use the money, and it's just not fair.
It's very distressing that the Social Security system doesn't provide Someone such as myself who's worked his whole life, with the exception to the last 2 years, put into the system. Now that you're hurt, you can't collect any compensation whatsoever monetarily.
My husband does have a vet status. He was actually in the Air Force, fresh out of high school. Finished up doing the Air Force. He was in their band. After that, he turned around and was in the Army Reserves and re-upped twice. The last time he re-upped, it was Desert Storm War, which he had his bag packed, and every time the phone rang, we jumped.
And the VA does things for you, that's fine, but they don't give you money. Not unless it's a service-related injury, which is not.
He still gave part of his life to his country. He was willing to go over to be a part of whatever he was trained to do, and we still don't get any benefits or anything.
It is what it is. You know, that's what I've learned.
These are not the memories that I want my children to see. This is not something I want my grandchildren down the road ever have to deal with. Who wants this kind of life? It's too hard.
Stripping and all separating all the precious metals into their specific categories. You have to get all the brass, all the copper, all the aluminum, and then there are other categories of copper. All the different categories of metal you have to separate everything into. In order to do that, you have to get the items that you have and strip them down to their bare parts, including, of course, tin or light. It's called light iron.
Isn't that tin?
Yes. That tin is worth about a nickel, maybe 2 cents. That piece of tin is worth almost nothing. But tin pays for my gas. I get enough metal from taking tin by the week to pay for my fuel. So without that, it would be a problem. There you go. The doorknob. That happens. So, after I get a pile, a substantial one, I'll take off the time necessary to take all the stuff that I've accumulated and strip it all. Stripping is a slang term for separating the metal into its individual categories. A piece of electronic equipment has copper in it. May have aluminum, brass, steel, and plastic. So you separate it into the piles, into the categories, and you store it in its appropriate containers. I don't strip much of it on site. I strip a little on site, but not a lot, because they can make a mess, and you can't really be making a lot of mess out front of this house. A limited amount of that. So then, after you guys separate into its piles, its categories, you then put it into containers to get ready to ship it or bring it to the recycler.
And your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, into your tent I'll creep. As long as you stop the bug, they'll lead all the way to love. This land hanging
Take each category of metal, weigh it, and pay you the going market rate for that particular metal in cash. Right as soon as you're done, as soon as he's weighed it all.
Yeah, that's everything.
And, I also keep items that I consider to be of personal value for myself, which is some of the glassware. There is items in that glassware. There's pewter and silver, items like that, which I will not bring to the recycler, which I will just simply sell at the flea market. It takes about usually 4 or 5 hours once a week to strip all the metal down to its bare parts and get it ready for sale. Then it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to load it, bring it to the recycler, weigh it, and get paid. Then, when you come home after getting paid on all that, all your tubs are empty. You have to start the process all over again. That's basically what happens. The only thing that can change those figures is there are certain kinds of metal that you have to bring to specific places. Not every place takes computers. There are places that take them, the whole computer, and pay you 10 cents a pound for them, 15 cents a pound. That's because they extract the precious metals such as platinum and gold out of the printed circuit boards. But not every place has the capabilities to do it. So certain things that I get every week, I don't bring out until I accumulate enough of it to make it worthwhile. One of the other ways that I make money is by operating a booth at a flea market. I'm presently set up with all the merchandise and items that I've picked from the street. Spent some time cleaning a lot of the things, preparing it for sale here at the flea market. I'll take a rusty tool that looks like this. Now it looks like that. This will get $1, maybe $2 for somebody who needs one. This would have been in the garbage in the dump. So I found my niche. Now, flea markets are notoriously no merchandise and such, but I found out from doing this, that people in today's economic times don't have a lot of money to spend as they used to. So I found out that if you can get something in their hands for under $5, $1 or $2 or $3, they'll spend $1 or $2 or $3, and they might spend $1 or $2 or $3, 2 or 3 times in a row without even leaving the booth. See? They won't spend $5 on one item, but they'll spend $6 on 3 different $2 items. On an average day at this particular place, I would say I probably sell about $300 or $400 worth of used merchandise every time I come here. After my labor and my rent, because you have to pay for the spaces here, I get to keep about half that money. One of the things that this provides me with an unlimited amount of resource. I can fill up tables and tables and tables with the merchandise that I pick off the street. There's just a ton. So this gives me a weekly influx of fresh, used merchandise. There hasn't been a single week gone by where I haven't found stuff and brought it to the flea market. And there I can make myself a couple $100 easily if I find the right stuff. But you gotta, get lucky. I do this usually once a week, at the end of each week, because as I go about my nightly picking, I always find new things. So I add those things to my stuff, and then on Sundays, I come to this area, this flea market, and I display them on the tables, and I sell what I can. I couldn't live on just the scrap I find. I would never be able to meet. That $200 or $300 barely pays. It just pays me for basically living. It doesn't give me any hay, but I don't get to save any of that money. But the flea market gives me a little extra. It's another iron in the fire that adds to the overall economic picture for me. One of the most lucrative things that I do is snow plowing during the winter time. It also happens to be probably the second most dangerous thing that I've ever done. Next to climbing trees for a living when I was a kid and a young adult. Snow plowing is dangerous. It's scary. But it's a very necessary emergency service that I provide to about 8 or 9 different commercial accounts that I have been plowing every year for 10 years at least. During the last decade, every storm that's come through here in this area on Long Island, I have been out in the middle of it, in the belly of the beast, going into the mouth of some of the worst storms you could imagine. When other people are running into the house and closing the doors, I'm running out of the house, opening the doors to my truck, getting ready to go out into a raging storm to plow snow. And no doubt about it, it makes you nervous. No doubt about it, it's extremely dangerous. But it provides me with an income during the wintertime that I can't get anywhere else. They rely on me. These people need me to be there. They have a business to operate, and they need someone to come do the work. And I'm it. I don't drink. I show up on time. I take care of them. I put their needs ahead of my own safety. I get paid for that. Don't get me wrong. It's lucrative, and I charge what I need to. But there's a lot of danger involved. I've had probably 4 or 5 car accidents with my truck over the last 10 years or so. It's inevitable. I've broken things, I've hit things. I've probably hit just about everything you can hit. Drive from one place to the other in the middle of a storm that normally you'd be home, snug in your bed, or waiting to go out in the morning and build a snowman. It requires a lot of concentration. It's not easy to drive in a whiteout. In the conditions where you can't see more than 10 feet in front of you, sometimes you can't even see that far. You're just driving blind. Conditions you really shouldn't drive. Personally, I shouldn't even be plowing in. Many times I've taken a lot of risk. But every time I go out, I say a little prayer, watch over me, and get me through another storm. And to date, I've been able to get through every single one without any major issues. And I'm grateful for that. However, it's going to be reliant on totally me and totally my equipment and the reliability that they produce for me to do that. The truck is old, it's a 96, and it's showing signs of wear. You hit 30 or 40 curbs, 5 or 10 potholes, drains, walls, just everything you can think of. Every year, you're gonna have some wear. However, it's worth it when the sun comes out and the storm's gone, and they come to work in the morning and they see that they can drive right into their place. And some of the places I plow are big, and they're happy to see me. They don't have to lose any sleep. They know that when they come to work in the morning that their place will be ready for business. And I provided them with that privilege. I'll continue to plow from now until such time that my equipment fails. And then I'll probably rebuild it if I can afford it and continue. It's just another thing I do. Me, my truck, and my plow. I can't make my living doing one thing. It's obvious. But I can certainly survive by doing 3 or 4 things. As long as, I still have my health. Which I do. Overall, I don't get sick. I take care of myself other ways. Orthopedically speaking, I'm a mess. But I don't get colds, I don't get viruses, I don't get flus. I attribute that largely to being out here. Gotta remember, I'm not with people. So I'm not being subjected to that. It's a loner job. I'm not alone a lot. Hold on. That's going to take practice. Surgery number 13. I hope 13 is a lucky number. July 28th, I went to the hospital to have my right ankle operated on. It was a bone graft involving grinding the bones that are nearest each other, grinding them down so they're smooth, preparing them for a paste made of bone marrow and other kinds of material, growth hormones and stuff. The surgery took 90 minutes on the operating table. That was all it took to actually do the actual operation. They had to remove bone marrow from my right hip and mix it with paste and then put it in the joint of my right ankle. And then they drilled a hole and put a screw in there to hold it together while it heals. The screw is permanent, it's not supposed to come out. It's a redo. They've done it before, but they didn't finish the job last time. The screws that they put in, they put 5 of them in, or 4 of them, and they hurt so bad. And 6 months later, I told them, you gotta take them out. You can't live with the pain. That's when we found out that the left side of my ankle hadn't healed. And that's why they went in this time and put more stuff in there to make it heal. It's going to result in my not being able to move my ankle at all. It also requires, I'd say the recovery is about a year. First 3 months, you don't really walk around too much. You're on crutches. And you have to watch what you're doing for a long time on crutches. Get some snow. I hit my knee on this. Once it's all healed, it is what it is. As long as I don't get any infection, I'll have it be. Avoiding infection, it's a big hurdle you have to watch. An infection in a joint like that can cause you a lot of problems. And surgery is a corrective method to achieve that goal. I would anticipate when it's all said and done, I'll be walking pretty much the same as I walk now. And remember, you can't bend your ankle. It's going to be a situation where it's one solid piece. I'm going to put screws in there and cadaver bone mixed with paste and all kinds of stuff. Hopefully it will result in my being able to take care of myself without crying out or grimacing from the pain that I do now. I don't cut the thing off, man. Give me an artificial one. Surgery I've had. People have artificial limbs. Their whole leg has been replaced. And they're jogging down the road and doing marathons. Me, I got a bad ankle. I'm screwed. Everybody has a dream. Mine is to become independently solid. Of course, the chances of that happening are a bazillion to 1. But it's worth a shot. There it is. Another $50. $100. How's that? A coin. Ding 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 ding. I'm in the money. Just gonna celebrate with a Red Bull and a pack of cigarettes. There are small pleasures in my life. One of them is getting the opportunity to do this once in a while. Yeah! I don't have a long-term outlook because it's rather bleak, considering that I'm just basically living week to week. I mean, it's a tough way to live, and if you're going to do that all your life, that's really even tougher, so you can't think about it that way. my retirement is going to be based on what I can earn on my own, and it's all going to be, of course, depending upon my health. If my health fails me, it's going to be a real tough retirement. If my health stays well, and I'm able to continue to work somehow like I do, then I'll just be one of those old working dudes. I don't anticipate having a retirement based on investments. They've all been spent. The businesses that I tried to run failed. Unfortunately, when I was unable to pursue them, as my body began to break down, I had to walk away from those things. So my options now are to continue to work. I'm living day to day that way. And I think that my retirement's going to be along pretty much the same way. Day to day, week to week. Very difficult to look into the future. And not very reassuring. Knowing that you have to be healthy and able to work in order to survive. That's one of the drawbacks to not having a retirement plan. Chasing the American dream was for me to be self-employed, and I really wanted to be self-employed, and I tried my hardest. I couldn't persevere it. My injuries caught up with me, and unfortunately, this week-to-week way that I live seems to be the way it's going to be for now until my health deteriorates. Thank God I have a good family around me to help me. But other than that, it's a struggle. I don't see the struggle ending anytime soon.
If I could fix one thing, I would go back to fixing him to being before all the injuries. That, like I said, that he can have some kind of quality of life, and we can have quality of life too.
I've always been a treasure hunter. I've always enjoyed going into places and looking for things. I've always enjoyed searching and looking for stuff. And all my life, I've liked it. I've always found it intriguing. So there is a certain amount of enjoyability in what I do. I don't hate this. I don't dislike it. It's tiring. It's necessary for me, but it also is interesting. You never know what you're going to find. Without what I'm doing now, I would be destitute. I just don't know how I would survive.